You know, it's Easter, and happy Easter to everyone here. Thank you so much for being here. Those of you that are visiting, especially, thank you for joining us on this occasion. I do hope that everyone found the eggs that were hidden for them, okay? Not here, but at home. If not, you need to go home and do some searching here. But you know, it's an interesting thing that we're doing right now. We're commemorating something that happened. Now, I don't know where everyone is spiritually, where you are on the whole, horizon of spirituality. Maybe you are totally doubting, maybe you totally believe, maybe you're somewhere in between. On Wednesdays and Thursdays, you're doing great, and then, Fridays, Saturdays, it's a little bit of a struggle. But something happened. And I want you to think about that for just a second. In a few minutes, we are going to have the communion, and we will close out the service. But about 30 years ago, I was on the campus of Ball State University. I was a campus minister. And I had lunch with another campus minister from another church. Now, he and I were talking about what we believed. He came in his seminary. He was taught a lot of different things, different theories. And when it came to the authority of the Scriptures, he had some questions about it. And so I remember I was saying, I'd bring up certain miracles, I'd bring up certain things, and he'd just go, I don't know if that's just supposed to be metaphorical, I don't know, I'm not sure. And I said, well, Dave, help me out. I know that when your group gets together, you open the Bible and you talk from it, you teach from it. Why do you do that if you doubt the authority? He goes, Sheridan, the reason is because something happened, and I can't account for it. When I think of Saul of Tarsus, I don't know how he changed, and there's no other thing I can say about it. Saul of Tarsus, who was the most fierce opponent of Christianity, the one that wanted to stop what he would have considered a myth, what everyone here was talking about. And yet on that road to Damascus, something happened, and this fierce critic of Christianity became one of the most well-known proponents and defender of the faith. In fact, God chose him to write a good portion of the New Testament. And Dave said, Sheridan, I can't account for that change. And as we saw in this dramatic piece, the different perspectives, different influences, different impacts of Jesus, we can identify with some here. We see the woman whose son went off to follow him. And certainly throughout the ages, some people have had some very strong opinions against Jesus because members of their own family decided, you know what, I believe he is who he said to be, who he claimed to be. I believe that something happened, therefore I'm going to follow. We have the people like Pontius Pilate that understand law has to be in place and things have to run according to a certain way. And if someone does something wrong, they get punished. If they do something right, they get commended. And yet Jesus comes into the picture, and all of a sudden, we're trying to understand what is right and what is wrong, because we used to think certain things were right, but now all of a sudden we have a deeper understanding, and it leaves us a little bit like Pilate. It's like, oh, what do I do? We can all relate a little bit to Mary. Maybe we've given up something. Maybe the fact that faith has cost us dearly. And I don't know what she was thinking that day as she looked up and saw her son dying on the cross. I have no idea. But as a parent, I shudder to think. And we can go, you know what? The angel appeared to her before Jesus was born, so she knew something was going to happen. It was going to be special. But you don't watch your own child continue to go through something. You don't watch people jeer and mock and torture. And yet, for 2 centuries, this faith, this man, this myth or somebody has caused people to pay a price. Maybe we're like the soldier. Maybe we're like Simon of Cyrene. Maybe, we've been influenced. We've been touched some way as we've read the Scriptures and we've seen them. And we're trying to figure out what happened. Something happened. We know that. Because for 2,000 years, this has gone on. If we were just stopped at this instant, what you've just seen, wouldn't that be a tragedy? There'd be some beautiful parts of it. It'd be the type of thing, it's like, here comes a man that was wonderful, that taught some great things, and as we read his story, we're used to stories building to a crescendo. But the crescendo is not him being heroic in the sense of everyone noticing that and lauding that. The crescendo seems to be on the evil side. Because as he gets closer to this time, there's betrayal. There's gossip. There's slander. There's lying. There are people that say, I'm going to follow you, but then they desert. There's loneliness. And then there's the beatings. And then there's the torture. It's not a quick death. It's not an easy death. And so, as we see this dramatic piece, at the end, we're left with, wow, something happened. What went on? They cannot account for it. But the thing that happened is that empty tomb. We celebrate Easter today. We're celebrating the resurrection of Jesus from the dead. The resurrection is what gives everything meaning. It ties everything together. And for us to think, we've got to ask ourselves, what happened with that empty tomb? How did this all happen? What went on? Today, I just have two questions before we do the communion I want you to think about. Question number one, do you want to live? Now, that's a pretty good question, right? Most people here, hey, yes, I want to live. I want to do that. I'm not talking about it in those terms. If you guys remember seeing that movie, The Green Mile, remember that? And as the guy, they'd be escorting the guy to the gas or to the electric chair, what would that prison guard say as he's walking down the hall? Dead man walking. Dead man walking. And you're thinking, oh, dead man walking. He's not dead. Look at him. He's alive. If you were to take his pulse, it would beat. If you were to check blood pressure, he's alive. But we understand what's meant when we say dead man walking. We understand that without hope, then there is no life. And today, do you want to live? I want us to continue reading in that passage that was up there before from 1 Peter. A little bit of a lengthy reading, but I want you to see what Peter's saying here. Verse 3, chapter 1. Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. In his great mercy he has given us new birth into a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, and into an inheritance that can never perish, spoil, or fade, kept in heaven for you, who through faith are shielded by God's power, until the coming of the salvation that is ready to be revealed in the last time. In this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while you may have had to suffer grief in all kinds of trials. These have come so that your faith, of greater worth than gold, which perishes, even though refined by fire, may be proved genuine, and may result in praise, glory, and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed. Though you have not seen him, you love him. And even though you do not see him now, you believe in him and are filled with an inexpressible and glorious joy. For you are receiving the goal of your faith, the salvation of your souls. Do you want to live? Peter says, praise be to the God and Father of the Lord Jesus Christ, who has given us new birth into a living hope. Why is it that Peter, at the end there, as we saw, says, I am going to proclaim this message. I am going to, you know why? He had a living hope. The empty tomb means that our hope is not just a projection of, I hope it all works out. It means that somebody is present. Somebody is there. Peter, as he is bold in his proclamation, I'm going to go preach, Peter will end up dying, just like Paul died for the faith. Their conviction will lead to their demise in this world, but they are not afraid. You know why? It's a living hope. It's like the old saying, it's better to have a weak faith in a strong bridge than a strong faith in a weak bridge. It's the same thing with hope. For some people, hope is just a question of positive thinking. And I hope it'll work out. But what you have is a strong faith, a strong hope in a very weak bridge. It's a gamble. You don't know. And once a quote works out, you don't know what's going to happen after then. You're on your own. Peter, at times he would falter and fail, but his hope was in the fact that Jesus not only lived, went through everything we talked about here and had the impact, but is alive now. A living hope. And you know, that is what all mankind wants. We want to really live. When I asked that question, first of all, do you want to live? Maybe we started thinking, yes, I need a new job. Okay? Or yes, somebody needs to resurrect my car if you're into resurrection, you know? Let's do this. Or yes, I need my relationship together, or my marriage, or my children, or, you know, we go on and on and on. And we automatically think of life right here. And the amazing thing is, when it does happen, all of a sudden we get afraid of losing it. And all of our energy goes into protecting it. What's going to happen here? I got this great job. What if I lose this great job? Right. I just spent all this time getting in shape. I can bench, I can do all that. Then you get a diagnosis. I mean, it's like on and on. I finally have a relationship. Then you're fighting all the time. You start wondering, is somebody playing a joke on me? Guess what? We live in a fallen world. I know that's a real brand new thought to you, okay? We live in a very fallen world. We are fallen people. We are broken in several areas, but the living hope is putting us back together again. Do you mean that Jesus rose out of the dead so that I could earn more money? If you follow him, you may or you may not. So he came out of the dead so that I could be healthy in this life all the time. Maybe, maybe not. So then he came out, and we go on and on and on. You know what you really need? You need life.